All right, you just wrote about the bandwagon, a bandwagon guide to the Eastern Conference. Give me the bandwagon. You're on the bandwagon anyway. You're a permanent driver on our bandwagon. So give me your bandwagon for Carolina.
What do you mean? Like, why should you root for them?
Yes.
I think because they're the most capable team that people aren't favoriting, if that makes sense. Like
Sure.
you can say "I told you so" and it would still feel good, and you have the highest chance of saying "I told you so."
Look, they're pretty big favorites over the Devils. I don't see a lot of difference. Yeah, like the Devils are like plus 260 in the series. Carolina's minus 210. And that to me is a pretty stout favorite. And
I feel like with Jacob Markstrom, they're being underestimated just a little bit because it takes one hot streak from an elite goalie like that to win a series. So you can't just totally disregard them, but you don't have Jack Hughes. None of the pieces are in place.
Well, that is true. They are without Jack Hughes, but I love so many pieces on that team, and maybe I'm still in the beginning of the season when I looked at the Devils roster and I saw, man, they might have the best roster in the Metropolitan Division. And I mean, did they get to 90 points? I'm stunned that, first of all, I'm stunned that point level made the playoffs, because in the West that was not good enough. Is the East that bad?
Yes. I feel like the West is top heavy, but at the same time, you get the St. Louis Blues going on a run and then they deserve it.
Yeah.
And you have the Flames and the Wild, I guess, at that point, duking it out where they would all be in if they were in the East. So, yeah, I think the East has a lot of teams that were trying not to make it.
Oh, yeah, and succeeding. Congratulations to the Rangers. You did everything you could to not make the playoffs and succeeded. I felt bad for Peter Laviolette, who had no answers at all by the end of the season for them. Let me just flip over to the Atlantic Division for a second, because for my mind, I've said this all year, I think the two best teams are both in the state of Florida. I love Tampa. I think Tampa, if I had to pick right now, I'd pick Tampa to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And they play. Tampa and Florida will go at each other in the first round. To me, we have the two best teams in each conference playing in the first round of the playoffs. Of course, I'm not very smart, so I could be wrong. But what do you think about the Atlantic Division and how it's stacked up right now?
Yeah, it's absolute madness that we get the Battle of Florida in the first round. And you look at the team like the Lightning, they had the hardest schedule of the regular NHL season for the first half, and it showed. But that first line is one of the most dominant we have in the playoffs right now. Gensel's coming in hot as ever.
Yeah.
And you look at what Vasilevsky was able to do in the second half. After the Four Nations, he had like a .930 save percentage. It was just, when he turns it on, you see how immediately the rest of the team is able to fall in line. You got the good vibes with Brandon Hagel. It's absolutely terrifying when you're coached by John Cooper too. So it's good for the Canes that those teams are going to eat each other alive in the first round.
Yeah. Who do you like in that series?
It's tough. I mean, I think it's going to be just some of the best hockey we've ever seen. You'd be a fool to count out the Panthers, even though they're coming in as cool as ever. But you worry about maybe you don't see the chemistry between Marchand and Tkachuk quite yet because they haven't been able to play together. So you wonder about that. You wonder if it's too many changes, and you look at a team like the Predators who made too many changes and weren't able to gel together. But you got a veteran like Marchand. But then on the other hand, you've got this team that couldn't be hotter in the Lightning. It's impossible to call.
Oh, it is a very difficult series. Again, I think as great as Bobrovsky is, I give an edge to Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Although against Carolina this year, he has allowed 2 goals that I can't believe he allowed. Like the one goal he allowed to Svechnikov was maybe the worst goal that he's ever allowed in his entire career. And I'll give Seth Jarvis credit for an incredible shot coming in off the left side in a game here that stunned all of us. I still think it's the goal of the year. If you want to go check it out, Jarvis against Tampa here by like 4 weeks ago. It was an unbelievable goal. Carolina played great in that game. Toronto probably feels like they should be the favorite, but why do I worry about them against Ottawa in the first round of the playoffs?
Can we name one team we wouldn't have worried about them against? It's just they need to get past the first round. It's so much more than what the team actually is. It's the vibe around the team. But they're better at 5-on-5 than they have been in years. The supporting cast around the core four, their stats have been better than any Leafs team since 2017, 2018. Matthew Nyes, Bobby McMahon, also his name McMahon. Come on, that's the man. I like the vibes there. The goaltending tandem, I think their strength headed into this playoffs is they're one of the few teams that have a really strong tandem and options to go through in net. And they never had that in the past. So they've got a lot of different things working for them right now.
Yeah, I wish both about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, Carolina's goaltending tandem was through the roof, and they won 12 of 14. Now it's through the ceiling, through the floor, and Carolina's struggled. They have won just one of their last 7. A lot of that is because goaltending has not been great. Sara Civian, the Civ Report, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Montreal looked to me, even last night, they played a good first period. I thought Carolina was way better in the second period. Montreal got the 2 goals late in the period and ultimately won the game. Montreal, to me, looked like a team that was looking for the finish line. But, boy, they look like they could be a ton of fun in the playoffs. Like, I'm happy to play them in the second round if Carolina and Montreal each win. And I do think I would pick Montreal over Washington in the first round.
I like that take. That's a bold take that is understandable because I know a lot of people think the Capitals are a fluke. I don't. I worry about Logan Thompson's health because he's been a huge help in net there. And I worry about Protas, who was one of the best players they have. And he balances out the roster. So I think that's a good upset take to have. And then you have the never say die Habs, who have more third period come from behind wins than anybody in the league this year. And it was like, you thought they were out and they just kept going. So I think that's hope is a dangerous thing, as they say, but I'm saying it wrong in that context, but I don't care. I think they have a great chance. You got Patrick Laine on a fourth line. Come on now. You got Lane Hudson. I think he's going to grow into be one of the best defensemen in the league by next year. I just think he's been such a good puck mover and such a completely changing the complexion of this team. Nick Suzuki has stepped up in an awesome way as captain. You know Cole Caulfield's playing for Johnny Gaudreau, and there's just the vibiest team, I think.
Yeah, they are fun to watch. Ivan Demidov doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Come on.
I mean, they have so much talent offensively, and as I was talking to Trip Tracy before the game last night, they have the ability to grind too. You know, a lot of teams don't have both. They've got both. They've got high skill, and they've got that ability. You know, the Brendan Gallagher influence in that team is very real, and they've got some sandpaper on the back. So, I mean, with Matheson and Savard, I think they have enough. I know Washington is not only really good, but they are big. But I think they can be skated, and I think that's why I don't hate a Carolina Washington matchup. But and I think Montreal can do the same thing to them. What is Sara Civian is joining us, the Civ Report on Substack. Get it. What do you think the impact is of Jason Robertson's injury in the Dallas Stars? That's a big deal.
I mean, what are they on, a 7-game losing streak? You see, that's the perils of a team like the Dallas Stars, who are so well structured, but it's kind of like the sum of its parts. They need every single guy, and especially Jason Robertson with one of the best offensive showings of his career. It's such a shame when something like that happens to a player. And then you got Heiskanen on the back end too, injured. It's a really tough blow that 2 of their high-end talented players, where they don't have many of those, are out right now. And you look at the first round with them, it's a scary, scary prospect. So they might be out early, and I don't know. It's just, there's one of those teams that's like they're perfectly constructed, and people get mad at you, but I think they're perfectly constructed for the regular season, but they don't have that elevation player unless Wyatt Johnston comes in and decides he's that this postseason. So I guess we'll see. But Jason Robertson kind of is their Sebastian Aho to me, just holding everything together, where you might need more than him, but you definitely need him.
Oh, no question about it. I watched the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2 weeks ago, And I was just floored that they allowed the Penguins to dictate the third period in Dallas the way they did after Dallas had taken a 3-2 lead.
Yeah. They don't have that it factor to me. They can't really take over a game in that way. And that's kind of their grind set, I guess, is what their strength is. But you look at a team like Montreal, for instance, and they seem to be able to turn it on in the third period. The Stars, it's like time runs out on them.
All right, before we let Sara Civian go, the Civ Report, also Too Many Men, the podcast. Tell me, who is the breakout, maybe one or two breakout stars of the playoffs that you could see?
Has Seth Jarvis already broken out?
Yes.
What are we going to say? Yes,
well,
I think
he
so.
He certainly has here, and he certainly did to Hockey Canada, so I'll be here for that.
Yes, though. You're right. I'm going to say Wyatt Johnston. I think that he will have a signature playoff right now, and you'll be able to see why the Stars refuse to give him to the Hurricanes. And who else? Oh, that's definitely think about every.
I know there are people here that want you to say Martin Necas.
Yeah. No, I think I'm going to go Lane Hudson because I've been watching him a lot recently.
Yeah.
And I think even if the Habs don't go past the first round, he was so seamlessly entered this league. And I think the playoffs are going to be like an elevation moment for him.
Yeah, he's absolutely dynamite. You have Dallas beating Colorado or the other way?
Other way.
Okay.
I think the Avs have, after their whole goaltending fiasco, they turned it on. You got Cale Makar, you've got Nathan McKinnon, you got Martin Necas. I feel like it's impossible to get by them.
They have Jack Drury.
Yeah.
All right, so out of the West, who?
I have to go Golden Knights. I just think Jack Eichel's having a great season. Mark Stone's Mark Stone. Hertel, oh God, I always pronounce his name wrong. Tomas Hertel has really elevated his game and has really sunk in more than he had last season. And I just feel like nobody talks about them because they're so consistent.
Right.
But I think they're coming out of the West.
And in the East?
Oh, Tim. Oh, no. Toronto Maple Leafs. I just think it's time. I think they're different, and I think the forecourt is last time to do it. I like the prospect of a goaltending tandem right now. A trick up your sleeve.
All right, that will break Maple Leafs Twitter. It'd be the greatest thing that ever happened to the Canadian hockey media to go back and forth between Toronto and Vegas.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens.
It's gonna break somebody's bank account. I know that. Sara Civian at Sara Civian on Twitter. The Civ Report on Substack. Too Many Men, the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Sara Civian here on the Adam Gold Show.